Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there in the first place? Or maybe you found yourself struggling to recall a name that used to come so easily. If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. It happens to the best of us. And while a little forgetfulness now and then is normal, especially as we get older, it doesn't mean we're powerless when it comes to keeping our minds sharp. In fact, the way we eat can have a surprisingly big impact on how our brain functions, especially after 60. Just like our bodies need the right fuel to stay strong, our brains need the right nutrients to stay focused, clear, and alert. And the good news is, we don't need to go on some complicated diet or chase after trendy supplements. Nature has already provided us with what we need, right there in our kitchens. So in today's video, we're going to talk about something that might just change how you feel, think, and even remember things. We're going to explore 7 simple, everyday foods that support brain health, and not just in some vague, feel-good way, but with real benefits that you can feel. Let's start with something small but mighty: the blueberries. Now, I know they're sweet and tasty, but did you know these little berries are packed with antioxidants that help fight aging in the brain? Think of them as tiny brain protectors. They help reduce inflammation and may even help slow down memory decline. I had a friend, Robert, who started putting a handful of blueberries in his morning oatmeal every day. After a few months, he told me he was remembering people's names more easily and felt sharper in his morning crossword puzzles. Coincidence? Maybe. But science backs it up too. If you're not a fan of oatmeal, that's okay. You can blend them into a smoothie, sprinkle them over yogurt, or just eat them fresh as a snack. The key is making them a regular part of your routine, not once in a while, but often enough that your brain gets to benefit from their natural goodness. Now, while we're talking about small but powerful, let's move on to something green. Leafy greens, like spinach, kale, and even arugula, might not sound exciting, but they do something wonderful for the brain. These greens are full of folate, vitamin K, and lutein, all of which are like fuel for mental clarity. Think of them as the oil that keeps the engine running smoothly. One woman I know, Maria, used to say she didn't like salads. Too boring, she'd say. But then her doctor recommended adding just a small serving of greens to her lunch each day. So instead of forcing herself into a salad she hated, she started tossing a few spinach leaves into her scrambled eggs, or blending them into soups. It didn't take long before she said her afternoon fog wasn't as strong. She could focus better and wasn't as forgetful. Sometimes, it's those subtle shifts in how we feel that tell us something is working, even if we don't notice it right away. And here's another thing that's easy to add and doesn't require any special preparation: nuts, especially walnuts. There's a reason walnuts look a little like a brain. They're packed with omega-3s, especially alpha-linolenic acid, which supports overall brain function. Plus, they're loaded with antioxidants and vitamin E, both of which help protect your memory over time. I remember watching a man at the park feed the squirrels one afternoon, and he had this small bag of walnuts with him. He turned to me and said, "You know, I eat a few of these every day, not just for the squirrels, but for me too. I'm trying to keep my brain sharp." I laughed, but he was onto something. Walnuts can help support cognitive health, and just a small handful a day is all it takes. You can eat them as a snack, sprinkle them on your salad, or even mix them into a bowl of brown rice for a little crunch. They're versatile, filling, and do a lot of good without much effort. And speaking of healthy fats, let's not forget fatty fish like salmon or sardines. These are some of the best sources of DHA, a type of omega-3 that's directly linked to memory and learning. If you're not into fish, don't worry, we'll talk about alternatives later. But if you enjoy seafood, try to work it in once or twice a week. It doesn't have to be fancy. Even a simple grilled salmon fillet or canned sardines on whole grain toast can do the trick. Now, I know not everyone grew up eating fish regularly. Some people even say, "Oh, I never liked the smell." But here's the thing, our taste buds can change over time. And when you cook fish with some lemon, herbs, or garlic, it can taste pretty amazing. Plus, your brain will thank you. A friend of mine, Bill, swears by his Sunday salmon dinner. He says it helps keep his thinking clear, and he actually looks forward to it now. So, just to pause for a moment, notice what these foods have in common. They're not processed, they're not full of sugar or preservatives, and they're all things you can find in any local grocery store. That's the beauty of it. You don't need pills, powders, or trendy superfoods from halfway around the world. Just real, whole foods that nourish both your body and your brain. And when we start choosing these more often, not perfectly, just more often, we're not just feeding ourselves, we're investing in our future. Our ability to remember birthdays, tell stories, solve puzzles, and enjoy conversations depends so much on how we take care of our brains today. So now that we've talked about blueberries, leafy greens, walnuts, and fatty fish, let's keep going. There are still a few more brain-boosting foods that might surprise you, and they're just as easy to add to your routine. Let's keep this momentum going and dive into the next one. If you're still watching and feel that these insights are meaningful, please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. So far, we've talked about how simple ingredients like blueberries, leafy greens, walnuts, and fatty fish can have a powerful effect on your brain. And it's not about eating perfectly, it's about eating mindfully. Small, thoughtful choices made each day that, over time, add up to sharper thinking, better memory, and even a more positive mood. Now, let's talk about a food that many people don't realize is incredibly powerful for brain health: eggs. Yep, good old-fashioned eggs. They're more than just a breakfast food. Eggs are rich in a nutrient called choline, which plays a big role in brain development and memory. Think of choline as a helper that supports your brain's communication system. It keeps the signals in your brain firing smoothly, helping you process and recall information more easily. There's a gentleman I know, he's 74 and still sharp as a tack. Every morning, he scrambles 2 eggs with a bit of spinach and tomatoes. Nothing fancy. He once told me, if I skip my eggs, I feel it. My thoughts don't come as quickly. Of course, that might sound like an exaggeration, but science actually backs it up. Choline helps create a chemical called acetylcholine, which is essential for memory and learning. And you know what? Eggs are also affordable, easy to prepare, and taste good. That's a win-win for any age. Now, if you're worried about cholesterol, it's a good idea to check with your doctor, especially if you've been advised to limit eggs in the past. But for many people, having eggs a few times a week can be part of a healthy, balanced diet. Alright, next up is something you might already enjoy: dark chocolate. Yes, chocolate. But not the sugary milk chocolate bars we grew up sneaking from the candy drawer. I'm talking about real, dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa. That kind of chocolate contains flavonoids, which are plant compounds that improve blood flow to the brain and help with thinking, focus, and even mood. There's something comforting about enjoying a square or 2 of rich dark chocolate after dinner. And it turns out, that small pleasure might be doing more for you than just satisfying a sweet tooth. Studies have shown that people who eat small amounts of dark chocolate regularly tend to perform better on memory tests. Not to mention, it puts a smile on your face. I met a woman at a library event once. She was in her early 80s and said her daily medicine was a little square of dark chocolate and a crossword puzzle. She claimed it helped her stay sharp, and honestly, she was one of the most alert and witty people in the room. Of course, moderation is key. Too much of anything, even something healthy, can be counterproductive. But adding just a little dark chocolate into your week? That's a delicious habit to feel good about. Now, while we're talking about something tasty, here's another one that's just as simple and effective: turmeric. You've probably heard of it. It's that yellow spice that gives curry its color. But what you might not know is that turmeric contains a compound called curcumin, which has powerful anti-inflammatory effects that benefit the brain. Chronic inflammation has been linked to memory problems and even diseases like Alzheimer's. But adding a little turmeric to your food can help protect the brain from that kind of damage. The key, though, is making it part of your routine. A sprinkle here or there won't do much, but a little bit each day, over time, can make a difference. Some people like to stir turmeric into soups or stews. Others mix it into warm milk with a touch of honey. That's called golden milk, and it's both soothing and healthy. You could even add a pinch to your scrambled eggs or roasted vegetables. It's easy, gentle on the stomach, and adds a warm, earthy flavor. Now, I get it, not everyone is used to cooking with spices like turmeric. But trying something new in the kitchen, even if it's as simple as adding a new spice, is a great way to keep the brain engaged. Learning, experimenting, tasting, these are all brain-healthy activities, too. So, just to take a breath, notice what we're building here. This isn't about going on a diet. This isn't about giving up everything you love. It's about adding more of what helps. More flavor. More color. More nutrients that feed the brain, lift the mood, and protect your memory. We're not just eating to feel full, we're eating to feel vibrant, to stay engaged in life, to remember the names of our grandchildren, to enjoy conversations, and to wake up each day with a clear, energized mind. And while some of these foods, like turmeric or dark chocolate, might seem a bit unfamiliar or even indulgent, that's the beauty of it. Brain health isn't about deprivation. It's about smart pleasure. Foods that satisfy your taste buds and your brain cells at the same time. We've now talked about eggs, dark chocolate, and turmeric, each one offering unique benefits that work with your body's natural systems to keep your memory and focus strong. But there's still one more brain food I want to share with you. It's a favorite in many cultures and has some surprising science behind it. Let's take a closer look at that next. So let's keep this going, because we're not done just yet. The next food I want to talk about might be sitting in your pantry already, or maybe in your fridge, ready to be sprinkled on a salad or added to your morning smoothie. It's pumpkin seeds, those tiny, crunchy little seeds that often get overlooked. But believe it or not, they're one of the best snacks you can eat for your brain. What makes pumpkin seeds so special is that they're rich in magnesium, zinc, iron, and copper, all nutrients that your brain depends on. Magnesium helps with learning and memory. Zinc is essential for nerve signaling. Iron keeps your energy levels up and supports proper brain function. And copper? It helps your brain stay sharp and communicate efficiently. I know, it sounds almost too good to be true for something so small. But a small handful of pumpkin seeds each day, maybe tossed into your yogurt, mixed into oatmeal, or just eaten plain as a snack, can give your brain the fuel it needs. And the best part? They don't require any preparation. No chopping, no cooking. Just open the bag and enjoy. There's a gentleman I once met at a senior wellness class who swore by them. He kept a little jar of pumpkin seeds in his coat pocket, and any time he felt mentally tired or foggy, he'd pop a few. He said, "I don't know if it's in my head or in my body, but either way, it works." And the research actually supports that feeling. The nutrients in pumpkin seeds help calm the nervous system, boost focus, and even improve sleep. All of which are essential if we want to stay mentally strong. Now, there's one last brain food I want to bring up, and it might surprise you: green tea. Not exactly a food, I know, but it absolutely deserves a place in this list. Green tea has been used for centuries in many parts of the world, and it's packed with compounds that are incredibly beneficial for the brain. One of these compounds is L-theanine, which works in a really interesting way. It helps increase your focus without making you feel jittery, and it promotes a calm, alert state. That means you stay sharp, but you also feel relaxed, something we all could use more of. Plus, green tea contains a small amount of caffeine, less than coffee, but just enough to give you a gentle lift. Combine that with L-theanine, and you've got a drink that can help you think more clearly, remember better, and even reduce stress. If you're not a fan of the taste, try squeezing in a bit of lemon or mixing it with a little honey. Or go with a flavored green tea blend, just make sure it doesn't have too much added sugar. A warm cup in the morning or early afternoon can be both comforting and brain boosting. I remember visiting a woman in her 90s who drank green tea every day around 2 p.m. It's my little reset, she said. Gives me clarity without making my heart race. She'd sit by the window with her tea and a crossword puzzle, soaking in the afternoon light. And her mind? Sharp as ever. Now, after going through all these wonderful, brain-nourishing foods, you might be thinking, this is a lot to remember. How do I fit all of this into my daily routine without it becoming overwhelming? And here's where I want to reassure you, you don't need to change everything overnight. Start with 1 or 2 small adjustments. Maybe you add a handful of blueberries to your breakfast. Maybe you try scrambled eggs with turmeric instead of plain toast. Maybe you sip on green tea after lunch a couple of times a week. What matters most is consistency. These brain foods work best when they're part of your life on a regular basis, not once a month, but often enough to nourish your body and mind over time. And don't underestimate the power of joy in the process. Eating well shouldn't feel like a burden. It should feel like self-respect. Like taking care of the most important part of you, your mind. Think of it like watering a garden. A few sips of water here and there won't do much, but steady care brings things to life. When you feed your brain the nutrients it needs, you're planting seeds for better memory, clearer focus, more energy, and even a better mood. And here's the beautiful part, you don't have to do it alone. Share a new recipe with a friend. Try a cooking class. Experiment in the kitchen with your partner or grandchildren. When healthy food becomes something you do with others, it becomes joyful. It becomes sustainable. So, to quickly bring it all together, not as a list, but as a feeling, imagine your day starting with a green smoothie filled with leafy greens and blueberries. A sprinkle of pumpkin seeds. Maybe lunch with some fatty fish and greens. A warm turmeric tea in the afternoon. A little dark chocolate for dessert. These aren't restrictions. They're upgrades. They're gifts to your future self. And as we age, these small daily choices matter more than ever. Not because we're trying to hold on to youth, but because we're embracing the fullness of life with clarity, confidence, and grace. If this video has encouraged you to make just one new choice today, whether it's picking up a box of green tea or adding a new spice to your dinner, then I'm glad we shared this moment together. And now, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite brain-boosting food? Do you have a memory-friendly recipe or snack you swear by? Share it in the comments below. I know others would love to read it too. If you found this helpful, please give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more tips that help you stay sharp, happy, and thriving well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Here's to good food, good health, and a brilliant mind at every age. You deserve it.